profile in there. There we are. We are back again.
Yes.
It's Stuart Dolby and Keith Hayes with you this morning to take a look at the news headlines and other things. And I have some actual news for you.
What's that?
Because you, yesterday, having done a lot of research, or was it Monday? It was Monday, started asking questions about the issue of Charleston Farmhouse moving into the council chambers, and who was paying for it. We got a response from Maria Caulfield, the Tory MP.
What did she say?
And she said, because somebody had made a comment, I expected some wealthy Tory, as they normally do. And she said, no, indeed. She said the deal was made by the previous administration, which was Lib Dems and Greens. And not only that, but the Conservatives apparently voted against it.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a turn up of the books.
Yeah.
But what she did do is she confirmed, yes, it is being funded from the public purse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's also now what happened that after. Well, John May got that in private eye, didn't he?
Yes.
Saying that it says just 7,000 to actually 270,000 a year to maintain the whole thing, and we have to pay for that. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Now, I did some research with someone else who must remain anonymous, where we looked at the Register of Charities Trust, and we looked and we said the Charleston's financial situation, and it turns out that they are rolling in money. They had 930,000 is
That's 930
in hand. Yeah.
Damn near $1 million.
In hand, yeah. And assets were worth 8.5 million, and revenue last year has been 500,000. So, if they're that rich, why are the taxpayer having to pay for it?
Yeah.
And the real thing that bites the biscuit is our wonderful new set up in the actual district council has donated 28,000 of our money to the Charleston.
Yes.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is. I mean, not only that, but their argument here is, well, it'll bring all sorts of people and it'll generate all sorts of money. But first of all, that's speculative, right?
Yeah.
Are we in the? I mean, okay. If you want a hot dog stand across the road and put in a couple of grand from the public purse, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But putting in or subsidising it to a tune of $250,000 before any other expenses is that is speculation.
Yeah.
Now, should councils speculate with the public's money?
Well, this is much more interesting. It goes much bigger than that because, well, you remember our famous friend Jacqueline and other people. They said that the financial statements are very, very dodgy.
Yes.
Because one year they weren't audited. So if you looked on the financial statement, there was no figures there. There was no figures at all. 3 of the years.
Yeah.
3 of the years. And that means that if we go into town hall and say, what are you doing with my money? And they have to say to us, well, there isn't any money.
And not only that.
According to your statements. I said, well, can we see them?
Yeah.
No.
How many people are now going to go down to Eastbourne to walk into the town hall and our town hall to look at the books? Go all the way from Lewis to Eastbourne just to take a quick check of the books.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit much, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I actually saw them because Jacqueline gave them to me.
Right.
Yeah. He was such a for a journalist, he was absolutely heaven because he was totally irresponsible.
Right now, I'm sorry I cut into your news because you got some fresh news as well that you wanted to impart.
Well, on the news this morning, there was something which we've alluded to before, and that is that Rolls-Royce and Tata are going to have this huge battery park in Somerset.
Right.
But there is some opposition that the Spanish group might get it. So we're sort of waiting. But it's very, very interesting because people always talk about renewable energy, and they talk about wind farms and solar panels and all the rest of it. But what people don't understand is the missing link in renewable energy is storage. This is the key thing.
Yeah.
So to get over the intermittency problems, then you need energy, but
right.
You can't store wind power. At the moment, you can't store solar at the minute. But then, if you've got that way of sailing it through a battery, then you're in business.
Right.
This is a very, very important development.
Right.
Yeah. I should have kept this to Energy Matters, but let's.
No, well, I mean,
we can talk about that again.
Oh, absolutely. It bears repeating, this, Stuart, because I mean, all the way through the energy crisis, you've been given very, very good background as to why things have happened, and people are bemused. They don't really understand why things have happened, and you've been providing that information.
Well, I've got another piece. Another piece. Aha. On the 27th of July, British Gas are going to put out their results. Okay?
Yeah.
And the guest is, the thing is that right. I've got to find this. I can't find it. No.
Well, can you just make a guess into Energy Matters?
Yeah, well, yeah. The leader of Ofgem has now said that we have to be very careful now about monitoring the big cartel, the sixth big cartel of energy suppliers here, because the gas price has gone down and the energy cap has gone down, so they are making unbelievable profits. For example, I give you, in the beginning of the 2022, British Gas on January 1 to June 30, that's 6 months, that's their interims, they made a profit of £1.3 billion. Right? Now, what happened to the £3 billion? Well, first of all, the actually CEO got a £2 million wage, if you like to put it that way, and all the shareholders had their shareholdings doubled, and a huge amount was given to Centrica, which is British Gas's mother sort of business, if you see. A lot of money went to them. Nothing went to the poor people. Nothing went to the customers, basically. Yeah. I mean, it's obscene, really.
Yes.
And now we're going to get the same thing because of these factors I've just told you. So it'll be very interesting on the 27th to just see how much British Gas is collaring.
Absolutely. I mean, the one of the big criticisms of our society, the way that it's developing at the moment, is that the rich are getting richer. And the poor
are getting the blame.
That's right.
Yeah. Bleeding shame.
But one of the things that really has disturbed me about the lead story this morning, and that is Farage saying, "Okay, I've found out. I've actually seen the memos concerning me being dumped by Coutts Bank." They gave him the reason that he wasn't wealthy enough anymore. And now it turns out is because they think that he did not fit in with the culture of the bank. Now, I've been waxing
Well, that's the Queen's
lyrical
Bank. It's
for-
the Queen's Bank, wasn't it?
yes, that's right.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
I mean, only the very, very top earners belong to Coutts.
Well, it's
You and I
taking-
couldn't get an account.
No. It's taking the Victorian to their own phrase. We don't deal with the lower orders,
No.
which drastically translated means the working class. We can't afford to have bank accounts apart from anything else.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
But given that it's Coutts, I don't mind. I don't know that it's Farage. I don't mind.
well, I think on principle is what really worries me is that the banks and actually Elon Musk is he's the first to say, hey, listen, in this society we've given way to computers. The computers are actually driving our society, and I've been saying that for a long time because nothing anymore is done by humans. And if in fact the banks are dealing this way, that's enormous power, but without responsibility.
Yeah.
Now, you and I as journalists have been taught all our lives, and in fact we've lived to the thing is, yes, we actually have to discover some distasteful things, but we only report on the basis that we've got the sense of responsibility to realize that we're just not passing on gossip and so on. So it bothers me enormously, whether it's Nigel Farage and actually, of course, as you pointed out the other morning, Jeremy Hunt was denied. It doesn't matter who the recipient is. You really have to be very careful in subscribing to the fact that a bank can decide who thinks what. I mean, that's basically what it boils down to.
God, I'm very worried about banks anyway, aren't you?
Yes.
They're all closing down, and that means really we've got nobody to see. Now, I've got 5 accounts at Lloyds Bank. One of them is an ISA, and I actually need to go in and talk to somebody. And I can't. I won't be if they close down. And the reason why are they closing down? Just so that the banks can make a load more money by firing everybody. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Now, people say there's going to be a banking hub, but God knows what that's going to mean. And we've only got now, I think, 2 banks open, haven't we?
Here. Well, actually, you have to count Halifax as a bank.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
If you say Halifax is a building society, we've only got 1 bank left, and that's Lloyds.
Yeah.
Now, I bank with Lloyds, and I'll give you an example of where I could have done with some help last night, because, as I said, one of my little gizmos was packed up. So I wanted to move my banking app to this main computer. So I went through all the things. I got all the things in the page that said fill this in, and then it got to submit. Wouldn't submit. I went back. I checked. I filled in every box. I got in it wouldn't submit. That's it.
Yeah.
I was without any sense of what my bank account was like, and so on. But if I actually go over by £1, they're the first to actually. I mean, it's outrageous.
I mean, I do online banking, and when it conks out, as it does occasionally, you're lost.
Actually, the only challenge I would is not occasionally, it conks out bloody frequently.
Yeah.
The other thing that is, I was busy like you. I do a lot of research and so on. And I kept on getting stuff last night is show us you're human, right? Click on all the cars. So you click on all the cars, and then it says that's not right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just outrageous, absolutely outrageous.
Oh yeah, they put you through put you through a character, don't they?
They do indeed. Now, one of the headlines this morning, and quite rightly so, is that we are suffering on the continent, and as you said, it's the one thing that we haven't exported. But we've got this happening.
No, it's one thing we haven't even imported.
But this is happening all across the continent.
Yeah.
And of course, some people are rushing to say it's all because of the climate change and so on and so forth. Now, you really are something of an expert in climate change too. You're very close to it. Now, what is causing these fires, Stuart? Is this heat wave as a result of, in your opinion, climate change, or is it a natural cycle that we go through from time to time?
Well, it's very difficult to know. I would have thought it's just a cycle which is excessive this time, basically. But I wouldn't be sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got your ambivalent is it could easily be climate change.
Well, it could, but what do you mean by climate change? This is the point.
Well, I mean, I think what they're saying is that the heat, we've always been warned if the heat goes up 0.5 degree or 2 degrees or something, the Earth is going to scorch.
Yeah.
I mean, are we heading in that direction, or is that just something for the comic books?
So they say, I mean, they're talking about if it goes beyond 150, we are going to frizzle.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to go that route right now. There is your battery issue. Just tell us a little bit more about that, because you obviously have been following this. It is a battery factory that could be set up in Somerset, did you say?
Somerset,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, okay. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, the whole point about it is that you need batteries for storage, whatever it is, you just store whatever it is to get your car running and so forth and so on. And I think it's vanadium flow batteries, which can contain most at the moment. But for a car, for example, lithium, there's a lithium battery, isn't there?
Yes,
and that's what goes to electric cars at the moment. But the thing is that, as I keep saying, the whole missing link in renewable energies, and I suppose climate change, is storage. Because, you can't, at the moment, you can't store wind, you can't store solar. But if you can find a way of putting them into a battery, the energy into a battery,
right,
then you're in business, aren't you?
Yes.
And that's very, very good news.
Okay, so how far along is the technology? You say if you can store them in a battery. How close are we to storing solar power and wind power and so on so into batteries?
Well, we're very close. I mean, look, if you talk about your own house, well, you have a battery, so you actually, when you put all your electrics on and so forth and so on, it gets stored, right?
Yeah.
But that means you can only store for about 24 hours. But what you need is, like in Germany, I think they have 3 weeks of storage, you see. That's the difference.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but they're always better at things than we are. We won the war, and they're better than us now.
Although, one side note is there are two economies which were really the driving force a decade ago. One was Japan, and one was Germany. Yeah. Japan has been in trouble for some time.
Yeah, well, it overdid it.
Yeah,
it did it overdid asset inflation. Loads and loads and loads of money in building houses. Their economy went bust. Right, and it's been bust ever since.
Yeah,
but they had one bloody time in the sun, didn't when they had Sony, when they decided, Sony what's this and Sony this and Sony that.
Yeah,
and then of course the Americans overtook them again by. all their technologies.
Well, now the latest figures from Germany, the German economy is in a bit of trouble.
Is it?
I believe so.
I didn't know
Yeah. I mean, it's and you saw the thing about China yesterday. There's only a 0.8% growth. You know, we've been standing in awe of these countries, and now suddenly they're finding that they, as you say, you put it very succinctly, they overdid it.
Yeah, but there's a numbers game involved here. You see, I remember when I was doing mentoring at Sussex University, when we were talking about this kind of thing, and she said to me, one lovely lady, Wendy Yang, and she said, you've got to remember, Stuart, there's an awful lot of us, you know. So when you're talking about growth and so forth, you've got to remember there's an awful lot of people that have to be, you know, catered for. Yeah.
Now, I don't know how closely you follow the international economies, but the one is that people are starting to moot as going to be a leading economy is India. Yeah. Where are they at the moment?
Well, they're just really catching up on China. You know, they're just catching up. Maybe better education. I don't know how it's come about, but it has come about. Because I remember when I wrote my degree, it was about, basically my thesis was about India and about how poor it was, you know, and all that kind of thing. But over the years, you know, it's developed, and you've got these families like Tata coming on with technologies and so on. Yeah.
Okay. So now, there are two things which we look forward to this morning. Is one, have you've got an interviewee?
No, he's just phoned me up this morning and said, actually, sorry, I'm still on holiday, Stuart.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Right.
I've been phoning all day yesterday for two possibilities, and they both let me down, but there you go. That's life.
Okay, so there are two things that you can look forward to then. We will take our usual half-hour break right now to gird our loins and pull our skirts up. But Stuart will be back in 20 minutes, half an hour, with Energy Matters. This is his flagship program in which he really brings us up to date. He reminds us of what's happened in the past, because we all forget. And then he brings in new thoughts and ideas, which are very, very useful to us. And then if you haven't got an interviewee, Stuart, what we will do for the last part of the program is you and I will have a chat about various things that are going on, not least of which is, I think that we should actually, in the light of what's happening and the information that is coming out on this question of the Saldover House and Charleston, is talk about the state of local politics. I mean, we have been paying a great deal of attention recently, because neither of us are totally satisfied with what's going on. But having said that, I think we should tell people why we're unhappy, because we don't just deal in emotion. When we say that we're unhappy with something, it's because we've done our homework, and because we have certain facts and figures to back us up. So anyway, it is now, it's 9:04. It is 17 degrees outside. Today is going to reach 24 degrees.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah, there, yes. There is a slight breeze, and we may get a little drizzly rain from time to time, but it's going to be a hot one. So if that's as hot as it gets, 24, we're lucky. Think of the people who, I forget which country it is, in the European sector, which is going to hit 40 degrees today.
Sounds like Greece, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's turned people into apple pie.
They should have never fought on Brexit, should they?
Yeah, it's all the fault of Brexit. Okie dokie. All right, we'll be back in half an hour with Stuart and Energy Matters. So for the moment, what we're going to do is we're going to say a toodle pip and wait for some more wisdom from the two wise men here.